Adhan. Firstly, it must be done by a sane Muslim man. Sanity, Islam, and age of puberty is not a must, but it adds value. So if a non-Muslim comes into the masjid and calls the adhan, this is invalid. Why? The adhan is the same, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Yes, but it's a form of worship. Therefore, it has to be done by a Muslim. And likewise, what we see in some countries, that they do not call the adhan on time through a person, rather they bring a recording and they play the recorder on time. And this is wrong. This is a ibadah. This adhan is invalid. Why not, after 15 minutes, call the iqamah as well, record it, and put a tape of Sheikh Shuraim or Sheikh Sudais from the Haram leading the prayer of Maghrib or Isha, and the congregation are praying behind the cassette recorder or the DVD player. Why is that not the case? They said, no, iqamah is calling the people. It doesn't have to be live, but the actual prayer, the actual imam should be present. It's the same thing. So it has to be done by a sane Muslim man. If a mad man comes, someone who's insane, and calls the adhan, this is not valid. You cannot guarantee that in the middle of the adhan he starts to sing or dance or do something or say something that is inappropriate. If the person giving the adhan is not sane, is drunk, is this or that, again, this is not a valid reason for giving the adhan. The adhan is invalid. But what about if a child gives the adhan? The scholars say that if the child was someone who the word is discernment, who has the ability to distinguish, to know what is happening. He's 9, 10 years of age. Yeah, this is okay. But if a child is like 5 years of age, beautiful voice, he says, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, and he starts giggling and laughing or going here and there. No, you brought this to yourself, and this is totally not permissible to have. So you have to have someone who's an adult. Number 2, which is a condition, the adhan must be done at the time when the prayer falls due. If it is done earlier, it is invalid. So this is true or almost true with all prayers. If you pray, if you offer the adhan a minute before the time is due, your adhan is invalid because it was done before its time. Maghrib time, sunset time is at 6. You offer the adhan at 5:58, 2 minutes. The adhan is invalid. Not only that, people would break their fast according to your adhan, and you will be sinful for that. And people would hasten to pray Maghrib immediately after hearing you say Allahu Akbar, and the sun has not set yet. So all of this falls on your head. Now, it's almost true except for 2 prayers. The first prayer is Al-Fajr prayer, because the sunnah is to have 2 adhans for Fajr. One adhan is about half an hour before the actual break of dawn, which acts as a reminder and not a notification of the prayer time is due. So the Prophet ordered Bilal, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, ordered Bilal, may Allah be pleased with him, to call the adhan, the first adhan of Fajr. And he said to the people, O people, Bilal announces the adhan and you can eat and drink. He announces the adhan early so that a person who's asleep gets to wake up and pray witr if he wishes, or eats and drinks his pre-dawn meal, and for the one who's praying to conclude his prayer with witr before the actual adhan of Fajr. Then Ibn Maktoum, the blind man, would call for the Fajr prayer. So these are two adhans. And the second prayer is the prayer of Jumu'ah, the Friday prayers. Because at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, Friday had only one adhan. And so was the case at the time of Abu Bakr, at the time of Umar. When Uthman came, may Allah be pleased with him, and he's a rightly guided caliph, he said that Medina has expanded. So by the time the Imam says, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, and the Muaddin calls the adhan and he gives the khutbah and the prayer, people would not have enough time to come to pray. So he suggested, he introduced an adhan similar to Fajr, which is prior to the actual adhan by an hour or 40 minutes, so that the people would wake up, get ready, and come to the prayer. Isn't this bid'ah, Sheikh? No, it's not bid'ah. It was done by the rightly guided caliph, whom the Prophet said, ﷺ, follow my sunnah and the sunnah of the rightly guided caliph. So the Prophet ordered us to follow their sunnahs, and not only that, none of the companions had ever objected to it. They all approved and agreed it, so it is okay, inshallah. Okay, also in this second point, when is the iqamah should be called? The iqamah should be called just before starting to pray. So when the imam gives a signal, or when the muaddin is in agreement with the imam that I will call the iqamah at this particular moment, then it should be done. Number 3, one of the conditions of iqamah and adhan is that they should be done in the right order without gaps. So you're not allowed to say Allahu Akbar, and then you go and answer a mobile phone or text someone or talk to someone. They say Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu Muhammad. This is not the right way of doing it. You have to do it in sequence. And number 4, they must be done in Arabic and in the specific wording explained in the Sunnah. So someone in Finland, for example, says, Sheikh, we don't know Arabic here, and they're all Finnish people. Finnish people or Finnish? I don't know. Who cares? Danish maybe. And they don't know except this language and English. So is it okay if I called glorify be to Allah, glorify to be Allah, or Allahu Akbar, Allah is the greatest, Allah is the greatest? I said, no, it has to be done in Arabic. But Sheikh, they don't understand Arabic. Tough luck. Quran is in Arabic, Adhan is in Arabic, prayer is in Arabic. You have to do that in Arabic. This is how Allah prescribed it. Now, they would like to understand it in their translations, no problem. But you cannot call the Adhan or the Iqamah in any other word but in Arabic. And women, again, we have gone through that. So we will stop here with the qualities the caller to prayer should possess.